Welcome to the Innovation Room, the space we explore the application of technology and AI in business, the practical and sometimes philosophical ideas shaping our future.
Welcome to the Innovation Room. Today I have Mehrjardi with me, CTO and Executive Director at Geeks. And he's here today to help businesses with one of the most crucial challenges of our time, understanding when to take action with AI and when to hold fire. Before we dive into that, Matt, could you give us a brief introduction about yourself and explain a little bit about your expertise and what has led you to be a tech leader in the age of AI?
Hello everyone, I'm Matt. I'm the CTO and Executive Director at Geeks. I have been working with AI for several years, even before GPT, and I work with our clients on their AI adoption journey, from understanding AI, its capabilities, all the way to integrating AI with their business to solve real-world problems for their businesses.
Fantastic. And he's being a bit humble there as well. I might add in, he's been working with AI for over a decade, which is a lot of people, as you mentioned, is only really familiar with AI from when generative AI kind of came on the scene. But he's one of the early pioneers and implementers in business, which is why I thought he's the perfect person to discuss with us today when to move and when to hold fire. So before we dive in, question that we ask everyone when they come to the Innovation Room. If you could bring anyone to the Innovation Room, who would it be and why?
I think the person I would bring to the Innovation Room, I don't think that person exists, but I would like to bring a politician that knows more about technology than a few keywords like AI, models, training data, and productivity. I'll bring them to the podcast to talk about how we can accelerate innovation in a country and integrate AI with the growth of a country, but I don't think that person exists.
Oh, very interesting. It never ceased to surprise me, because I thought for sure it would be something, a little fun fact about Matt, and he's studying neuroscience as well, so he's going to be one of the pioneers of understanding how, from a scientific and biological point of view, how these changes could impact humans.
Yeah.
So I kind of expected something in that space, but you definitely threw a spanner in the works. Okay, so today, a little bit of context for today's session. So one of Geeks' frameworks is our AI adoption framework, which involves there's 4 steps: preparation, alignment, observation, and engagement. Today's session is going to be focused on the preparation stage and ultimately answering that question, when to hit go or when to hit pause.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's discuss signs that a business should consider around when they should actually, what are the signs that they're ready to hit go? Let's start there and give some practical examples if you can.
There are a few elements that they need to consider. One is the knowledge about AI, not just the business leaders, but also the organization in general, because it is very important for business leaders to be educated about AI to manage their expectations. I see a lot of business leaders that they still don't believe in AI, they don't know what AI can do. And also, I see business leaders that maybe believe in AI too much. They expect too much from AI, and when they don't see that kind of result that they expect, they lose faith, and then they start dismissing AI completely. So that's from the business level, business leadership level. From the lower levels, it doesn't matter how amazing a piece of technology is. If people don't know how to use it or they don't believe in it, they are not going to adopt it, and you cannot see the full potential of that change or system that you may spend a lot of time and money on, but you're not going to see the expected results that you can have.
Great. So starting from the business leadership level then, what is a success story that you've seen in your tenure working with AI at different stages in the journey? But what is one of the best examples you can think of when you've seen a leader that's ready to go and should hit go?
I've seen different examples. There are scenarios that if you want to focus on the success story, the state of a business leader may not be as relevant as their mindset is.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be a business leader that may not know anything about AI, but they make themselves vulnerable and they come to us and say, look, I've heard of AI, seems very interesting, but I don't know anything about it. I much prefer that to somebody who has no knowledge about AI, but they have heard AI may not be the right solution for those problems. So that's one story. The other story is that we have got business leaders that are very well educated in the IT and technology industry, and they are very well aware of the risks and rewards with new technologies such as AI. So they come to us and they the way they go through the journey is extremely interesting, because when you want to try something that is new, there are certain rewards that come with that. Also, there are some certain challenges. The way those business leaders embrace this journey and accept challenges or failures or whatever you want to call it is very important, because they don't give up. They see a technology and they see the potential, and they understand that there will be challenges along the way, and they believe in you, they don't trust you, they become a team member, and then you go through the journey together, go through the pain, and ultimately you see the result one way or another. And because they are the pioneers in that field, they will get rewarded, as opposed to somebody who wants someone else to do the job and then just copy that.
Really interesting what you had to say. One of the themes that I was picking out with, even if they're not knowledgeable with AI, one of the important sort of values, if I will, that is someone perhaps that either themselves or their team is curious and able to partner well with businesses, and the very fact that they're willing to reach out and invest some time is a really good leading indicator, if you will, of success. So that's one sort of power tip that I would say. And I would say that actually there might be an example. There's a recent, and we won't talk too much because it's coming soon, launch, but we have a recent client that literally came to us and had zero historical track record of delivering technology solutions or AI solutions, and they're in the care space, and they came to us with an idea, and I think they were a perfect example of exactly that, where they were curious, they knew they had some challenges in their business, and they were good at trusting someone to collaborate with. So that was really interesting. But one other thing you mentioned that I'd like to explore more is the challenge about expecting too much of AI. So they might not have much knowledge, but can you give me an example of, and sometimes I actually think, and I might be so bold to say, is sometimes even people that know more about AI, they're more at risk of thinking that more is possible. So can you explain a little bit about how someone can gauge whether they are expecting too much of the value that AI could bring, and how someone might navigate that in a practical way?
I think we need to think about AI as a creative entity that, like any other human, might make mistakes. We need to think about why we need AI versus a traditional software. Traditional software, you get consistency. Even if you have got bugs, they are relatively consistent. When you deploy a system, you know what your expectations are. With AI, if you want to get consistency, you need to reduce the level of creativity that AI has. But then AI always has its own challenges because it's really hard to debug AI. So if you don't want the creativity, why do you want to go through the pain of not having visibility over a system? So you just use a traditional software. But we want to use AI because of the flexibility and creativity it gives us. But that comes with a level of risk because you cannot ever be sure that the output that AI creates is going to be accurate. Then the other factor is, if you want to use AI in a scale, if your AI solution makes mistakes, that will be amplified. And then if you're replacing or using AI, instead of having 10 employees, you have got one AI solution and you're delivering that bandwidth. If your AI solution makes a little bit of a mistake, then you don't have any way to deal with that mistake, and then that is risky for business. So it's very important to understand the potential of each context that you want to apply AI to, whether it's a specific task or an organization or a business process, and always focus on productivity and pairing AI with humans and designing touch points in your solution to make sure that whatever AI produces is checked, and there is a process to highlight potential risks so humans can interact with AI and give AI feedback and make it better. Automation with AI, I don't think we are at a stage at the moment to rely fully on AI for automation, because that is very, very risky. I get nervous to have a system that I don't know how it works, and it's dealing with live data and live customers and clients, and has access to a lot of things.
Really helpful. If I were to break that down, then what I took away from that is it's it's thinking about the context and understanding how AI will be used in combination with a human to build productivity.
First, let's understand what the context is. A context is a part of an organization that you want to apply AI for. That could be a specific task, that could be a process or a department or a role or the entire organization. Each context has a current state and a AI applied potential state. And that means certain processes for certain organizations cannot be fully automated with AI because that organization might value the existence of human beings in their organization. So let's say one of the IPs of an organization is the relationship between their employees and their clients, and they want to have that. They don't want to get rid of that. So in the context of the relationship between the client or interaction between the clients and the team, humans always exist. So the potential of that context is not going to be fully AI automation. So that's one example. The other example is writing marketing, very simple marketing content. That can potentially be fully automated with AI because you can get AI to write the content, and you can get a very sophisticated AI QA system to validate your content and rate your content. So you can have an end-to-end AI-based solution for that specific problem. And the smarter AI models become, the better the quality of the entire process will be. So those are two potentials for two different systems. Then we have got some variables in this journey. So when we start utilizing AI, at any given point, the performance of the AI models may be limited in terms of what they can do, what they know, the how up to date they are with the data, or scalability or cost, or whatever the case is. There are certain elements that we need to accept that we don't need to pay as much attention to, but there are some elements that are not time sensitive. So,
Like what?
so for example, if you want to use an AI model in a process, designing that process, that entire process is not going to be based on one API call to an AI model, right? You've got certain UIs that you have to create. You have your workflow system, and along the way you will have touch points with AI. So regardless of how smart AI is, that the entire end-to-end process may not change. The only thing that might change is your interaction with AI. And as we discussed, it's always good to have the human interaction with AI. In other words, it's very important to have AI augmented human-based processes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So let's talk about, we have a client that we'll do a shout out to here, because I think they're one of our best, I would say, examples of, first of all, aligning their tech strategy goals to their business goals, but also thinking ahead and understanding how AI could help them propel their business. But also they've been good at failing fast, I would say. And the client you probably know I'm going to mention is Search Acumen, who they've recently just launched a really exciting product that's going to change the way commercial property data is being used. Can you put all of that lovely information you just shared into the context of that client? So how did they navigate that journey of understanding that it was a worthwhile investment because I'll let you explain the project a little bit, but in terms of the context, it wasn't the most simple context. It was actually a more complex context. So what were the trade-offs of deciding that was the right project to hit go on?
So that project that you mentioned is a solution that we have created using AI to essentially create a report based on documents that solicitors receive from different sources. And those documents have some information that usually are read by humans and analyzed, and humans used to create the reports.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it's over 350 different sources, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of sources.
Yeah, with different templates, with different formatting, with different all sorts of challenges that we had. We started the project many years ago with it was before even ChatGPT. So we tried different technologies, and the technology didn't give us the results that we wanted.
So how do we know what are the trade-offs that one needs to make following that case study of knowing it's the right time to move forward?
I think the most important thing in that journey was that our clients saw an opportunity, a gap in the market, and they believed in that journey and that product and the fact that is going to change the industry. And because that client is very well educated in technology, he knew that we will have there is a solution. It's just a matter of finding that solution. And back in the day when we started it, obviously OpenAI didn't have ChatGPT, so we had to work with what we had, and what we had wasn't flexible enough for the expectations we had for the solution. But it didn't mean that we shouldn't have taken an action. And the thing with technology is that ever since technology started, it didn't ever go back. Nothing got worse. Everything got cheaper, more accessible, and more capable. So that's something that we always have to have in mind. Because of the competition that there is in the market between a lot of tech giants, they want to provide smarter technologies, cheaper technologies that are available for businesses. So that's one positive factor that we always have to have in mind. Then we always, if something is hard for you, it's hard for everyone. So the winners are the ones that find the solution based on whatever you have. And when ChatGPT was released, we saw the potential. And when it was released, it wasn't as capable. We didn't have the context was small. So some of the documents that we processed are massive documents, and the layouts are very creative. When you read them, sometimes as a human, it's really hard to work out what the logic is and process documents. But we just started working with OpenAI because, in theory, it would give us a very flexible solution that wouldn't need a lot of effort to implement. But then, because of the limitations it had at the beginning, we didn't get the results we expected, but we got good signs from the efforts that we put in place, and that was good enough for us as a technology company to believe in what we are doing. And the important thing was our relationship with our client, that when we communicated with our client, they trust us and they trusted our judgment, and they we are more than a client and supplier. I think we work as a team, and that was one of the most important elements of that journey.
Yeah. So much gold in that, actually, that I'm hearing. So one of the quotes that I loved that you said was, if it's hard for us, it's hard for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably one interesting element there. But the other thing that I was hearing was how important it was to have a really strong vision and clear direction, combined with bringing it to first principles. So understanding the trajectory of things and using that to make sure that when you're touching base and collaborating, that you're still moving in the right direction, and you're sense checking that the productivity gains that you're getting along the way are moving in the right direction. So that's all really interesting. Let's take it into more dollars and cents or pounds, and do risk versus reward.
Yeah.
So with the pace at which technology is advancing and AI is advancing, and all of the infrastructure to support it, etc., how does someone assess whether it's worth it for them to take that initiative, take that potential risk, versus the potential rewards? And that's a really good example that we just talked to. So if you were to give me, say, 2 or 3 key points of why it's worth a business to take the investment versus waiting for someone else to do it and then just implementing it, copying, basically, why should someone take that risk?
I think it goes back to, it starts with defining clear ROIs and being open-minded about what are the things that you value, what are the things that are important for your business in 3 years, 5 years. And I think even 5 years or 3 years are too long, because with the rate that technology is changing, it's really hard to see what's going to happen in 3 to 5 years. But as a business, you know what your strengths are, you know what your values are. And talking to somebody who understands technology and communicating what you value and what the future of your business can be and what your challenges are, they can help you identify the areas that can change your business and identify or define your business in the future. You can travel in time and see where your business can be in the future. And we talked about if something is difficult for you, it's difficult for others. The opposite is true as well. If something is easy for you, it's easy for others. So if there is a IP opportunity for a business to create something that is unique in the market, and they want to be the first person in the market, if they want to wait until AI is very capable, so that instead of spending X amount, they can spend the 10th of the money, they need to think about that. If it's easy for them, it's going to be easy for their competitors. So, but then how much are you willing to spend depends on the potential of
the business case, basically. So that's actually really, I think it's almost kind of bringing AI, although it's changing quickly, almost bringing it back to basics in that it's not that different to anything
Yeah.
else you take a business decision on. It just comes back into collaborating with the right people to get the business cases, and then really being realistic about what the ROI could be and having a realistic assessment of how it could impact. So I think that's really interesting to say. And then the trade-offs come between, as you said, how much you want to be on the bleeding edge of hard for me, hard for everyone, and really getting that competitive edge versus waiting until it gets a bit easier when potentially there might be more competition. So really there might be just as much of a risk waiting till you're at that end than at the harder end, which is interesting. So one last thing before we wrap up for the day. If you were to leave one top piece of advice, if you were to give one statement to business leaders out there to help them identify when to hit go or when to hit the brakes, what would that one tip be?
Well, that tip probably has 3 different elements in it. One is to educate yourself. Be open-minded and humble, because you might be smart and read about AI and think that, well, I understand everything about AI now, but that's not how it works. The more you know about something, the more
you realize.
You
realize you don't know.
It's harder to show that you know. And then the third element is to find somebody you can trust and share your business challenges and values, and get their help and view in terms of where you can apply AI to and how you can apply AI to your business.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.